Every minute, thousands of photos of children are published around the world. The first day of school, a birthday, a funny face, or just breakfast in the morning. Parents rush to capture all these moments and share them with the world. Thus, sharenting is born, a fusion of the words share and parenting. A phenomenon that has changed the very nature of childhood in the 21st century. What used to be kept in family albums and shown only to close friends is now accessible to hundreds and sometimes thousands of people at the touch of a button. The digital chronicle of a child's life sometimes begins even before their birth, with the publication of an ultrasound image, and continues as an uninterrupted stream of updates. Parents create their children's digital identity long before they can comprehend the concept of privacy. In this new world, the personal becomes public, and the boundaries between family memories and content for a wide audience blur beyond recognition. As late as the mid-20th century, family photo albums were sacred relics, carefully stored in cupboards and taken out only on special occasions. Grandparents proudly displayed black and white snapshots of their offspring to close relatives and friends. Back then, photography was a rarity, an event. Each shot required a conscious decision and certain costs. The process of developing film, printing photographs, and carefully placing them in an album created a natural filter, limiting the quantity and dissemination of family images. The audience for such photos rarely exceeded a dozen people. The personal truly remained personal. The technological revolution of the late 90s and early 2000s completely overturned this established state of affairs. First came digital cameras, eliminating the limitations of the film era. Then, the development of social networks. From early platforms like MySpace to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, created unprecedented infrastructure for instant content dissemination. The final revolution was brought about by smartphones, combining high-quality cameras and constant internet access. Suddenly, every parent had the opportunity to capture any moment of their child's life and instantly share it with hundreds or even thousands of people. From a newborn's first smile to school graduation, everything became potential content. The culture of parenthood also underwent significant changes. If previously parenting advice was passed down by word of mouth or through specialized literature, now social networks have created a global community of parents, continuously exchanging experiences, anxieties, and joys. Motherhood and fatherhood have become more public roles, and the demonstration of family well-being, a part of modern man's social capital. What drives parents to publish photos and stories about their children? Psychologists identify several key motives that shape the phenomenon of sharenting. First and foremost, it's a deep-seated need for social approval and validation. Every like under a photo of a child's first steps becomes a kind of pat on the head for the parent. "You're doing great! You have a wonderful child." In a world where parenthood is often accompanied by anxiety and insecurity, these small doses of recognition act as emotional medicine. They create the illusion of support and understanding, even if superficial social connections hide behind the approving comments. No less significant is parents' desire to document the fleeting moments of childhood. Time with children flies relentlessly, and social media posts turn into a kind of digital diary, allowing precious moments to be preserved. For many parents, this chronicle becomes a way to combat existential anxiety about the transience of life. It is telling that the intensity of sharenting often increases during significant transitional periods, when a child goes to kindergarten, school, or experiences adolescence. By publishing these moments, parents not only share joy or pride, but also seek validation for their parenting strategies. It's also interesting to note the socio-competitive aspect of sharenting. In an era when parenthood has become a kind of competition, publications about children turn into a display of status and success. Photographs from expensive resorts, in branded clothing, or from prestigious events become a way to increase social capital. This motive is rarely openly acknowledged, but often subconsciously influences the decision to share certain aspects of a child's life. Family vlogs, children's toy unboxings, challenges involving toddlers. Social media is overflowing with content where children are the main characters. But what happens when family life turns not just into a public spectacle, but into a source of income? The family content industry today is a multi-million-dollar business where the lines between parental care and commercial exploitation become dangerously blurred. Popular family YouTube channels can earn tens of thousands of dollars monthly, and successful child bloggers attract advertising contracts from major brands. In this new reality, a child becomes an asset, and their cute smiles and funny slips of the tongue become a commodity that generates profit. Parent bloggers find themselves in a dual role. They are simultaneously loving parents and producers, evaluating every family moment through the prism of potential views and monetization. This creates a unique dynamic where even the most sincere expressions of parental love can be subjugated to the logic of algorithms and market demand. Children who appear in such content are effectively working from an early age, yet they exist in a legal vacuum. Traditional child labor laws, developed to protect minors in the film industry or modeling business, often do not apply to family blogs. A child can spend hours in front of the camera, following scripts, repeating takes, advertising products, all without an official employment contract, regulated working hours, or guarantees of preserving earned funds until adulthood. Imagine a child growing up constantly feeling the aim of a camera. Every smile, tear, or awkward moment could become the property of hundreds or thousands of people. How does this affect the formation of their personality? Psychologists today are seriously concerned that children of the sharenting era are developing in fundamentally new conditions, where the boundary between private and public blurs from the first days of life. A child whose photos regularly appear on their parents' social media learns to perceive themselves through the prism of likes and comments long before their own self-awareness forms. They get used to constant exposure, to the idea that their life is a kind of performance that must elicit audience approval. As a result, many children develop a distorted self-perception, where external evaluation becomes more important than their own feelings and experiences. Teenagers who have grown up in an atmosphere of constant documentation are characterized by heightened self-criticism and dependence on external approval. They get used to evaluating every step they take from the perspective of potential publishability and social reaction. Studies show that children whose lives were actively covered on social media are more likely to suffer from anxiety disorders and self-esteem issues. The question of a child's right to form their own identity is particularly acute. When parents spend years creating a certain image of their child on social media, be it an ever-smiling angel, a little athlete, or a future genius, it becomes more difficult for the child to explore other facets of their personality. They become a hostage to a digital image created without their participation. Psychologists note that this can lead to serious identity crises in adolescence, when the desire for self-determination clashes with an already formed public image. In the modern digital world, the concept of child privacy is becoming increasingly blurred. But do children have a legal right to protect their privacy from their own parents? This question extends far beyond family discussions and is becoming the subject of serious legal debate. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child explicitly states that children have the right to protection from arbitrary interference with their privacy. However, the implementation of this right in the context of parental sharenting remains problematic. After all, traditionally, parents are the ones who protect the interests of their children. But what happens when these interests conflict with parents' desire to share information about their child? The issue of informed consent is particularly acute. A small child cannot consciously consent to the publication of their photos or life stories. They do not understand the potential long-term consequences of the digital footprint that is formed long before they are able to make independent decisions. In recent years, we have seen a growing movement of young people speaking out against parental sharenting. Teenagers and young adults who grew up under the scrutiny of parental cameras are beginning to openly talk about the psychological discomfort and boundary violations they experienced. Some of them are taking legal steps, demanding the removal of content published without their consent. A landmark case occurred in Austria, where an 18-year-old girl sued her own parents, demanding the removal of hundreds of her childhood photos from Facebook. Her argument was simple. These photos violated my right to privacy and created a digital footprint that I did not choose. The court sided with the girl, creating an important precedent. In response to growing concerns, lawmakers in various countries are beginning to develop regulations that protect the digital rights of children. In France, for example, parents can now be held liable for publishing photos of their children without considering the potential consequences for their privacy and reputation. This signals an important shift in understanding the balance between parental rights and child autonomy. Every social media post leaves a trail that is practically impossible to erase. When parents publish photos and stories about their children, they create a digital footprint that can haunt the child throughout their life. Unlike a family album that can be closed or hidden, the internet forgets nothing. Even deleted posts can be saved, copied, or archived. This digital footprint becomes a kind of shadow that follows a person, influencing their present and future. Potential employers, educational institutions, romantic partners. All of them can find and view this information, forming their opinion of a person based on content they did not choose or control. Children with developmental disabilities or chronic illnesses are particularly vulnerable. When parents meticulously describe a child's medical problems, they create a digital dossier that can lead to stigmatization or discrimination in the future. Insurance companies, for example, might use this information when assessing risks, and peers might use it for mockery or bullying. The story of 12-year-old Sophia is illustrative. Her mother had been blogging for years about her daughter's struggle with a rare genetic disease. When Sophia transferred to a new school, classmates found the blog and began to tease the girl, quoting intimate details from her mother's posts. A digital footprint can also become a tool for creating fake identities. Malicious actors can collect information about children from parental posts, creating convincing fake profiles. This practice, known as digital identity theft, can have serious consequences, from financial fraud to more sinister scenarios. The digital lives of children harbor dangers many parents aren't even aware of. Behind seemingly harmless photos of the first day of school or videos from a children's party lie serious security threats. When a mother posts a photo of her son with a sign that reads, "My first day at school number 25, she unwittingly informs potential criminals where the child can be found daily. Geotags, school uniforms, the name of the educational institution. All of this can become a key to the child's physical location. Cybersecurity experts call this phenomenon, quote, criminals piece together a mosaic from seemingly innocuous details published by parents to create a complete profile of the child. their daily routine, hobbies, and frequent haunts. The story of 8-year-old Elisa from Yekaterinburg is illustrative. A stranger approached the girl near her school, called her by name, and said her mother had asked him to pick her up. He knew the teacher's name, the pet's nickname, and other details that convinced the child of his trustworthiness. Fortunately, a vigilant guard intervened in time. It later turned out that all the information had been gathered from the mother's public Instagram account. An equally alarming trend is digital identity theft. Children's photos are copied from parental accounts and used on fake pages, in advertisements, or, most disturbingly, on websites with questionable content. A mother of 2 from Krasnodar was horrified to discover photos of her little ones on a page impersonating a charity fundraiser for sick children. Criminals used cute family pictures to extort money from compassionate users. The problem of cyberbullying deserves separate attention. Awkward childhood moments, captured by parents and posted online with love and humor, can become a weapon in the hands of peers. 15-year-old Maxim faced bullying after classmates found his childhood bath photos, posted by his mother 10 years earlier. What seemed sweet to a parent turned into a source of ridicule for teenagers. The scientific community is increasingly studying the impact of sharenting on children's psychological well-being. A University of Michigan study, encompassing over 2,000 parents, revealed a disturbing trend. 80% of children already have a digital footprint by the age of 2, created without their knowledge or consent. Furthermore, 73% of surveyed teenagers admitted to feeling uncomfortable with their parents' social media posts about them. Photos that children deem embarrassing or compromising, pictures in swimsuits, during crying or tantrums, or unflattering school photos, prove particularly sensitive. Longitudinal studies by the London School of Economics demonstrate that children whose parents intensively practiced sharenting are more likely to experience difficulties in forming healthy personal boundaries and are more prone to dependence on social approval by adolescents. The testimonies of those who grew up under the lens of parental cameras are telling. 23-year-old Anna, whose mother maintained a popular motherhood blog since 2007, recounts, "My childhood was documented in meticulous detailing. My first period, my first date, all my complexes and fears. Now I work at a large company, and colleagues can find these stories. It's humiliating." 19-year-old Kirill, whose parents created a family YouTube channel when he was 7, shares, "I couldn't just be a kid. Every moment turned into potential content. If I cried, the camera turned on. If I did something funny, the camera turned on. I started playing the role of the perfect son for the videos, and I'm still not sure where that role ends and the real me begins." The approach to sharenting differs dramatically across cultures worldwide, reflecting the deep-seated values and traditions of societies. In Northern European countries, especially Sweden and Norway, there is a strict attitude towards publishing images of children. Swedish parents often post photos where children's faces are covered with emojis or taken from behind. This is not just a passing trend, but a reflection of a culture where children's autonomy and right to privacy are elevated to the status of paramount values. In Germany, legislation protects children's right to control their own image. German courts have repeatedly sided with teenagers demanding that their parents remove their photos from social media. In contrast, the United States and Russia stand out, where the culture of sharenting thrives almost without restriction. American mommy bloggers share the minutest details of their children's lives, turning it into a profitable business. In Japan and South Korea, the practice of posting children's photos is common, but with mandatory blurring of faces, a compromise between the desire to share and the protection of privacy. The experience of the United Arab Emirates is interesting. where publishing photos without consent, including images of one's own children, can lead to large fines and even imprisonment. Cultural differences are also evident in the reaction to sharenting. In collectivist Asian cultures, children are less likely to express dissatisfaction with parental posts, perceiving them as a continuation of family representation. In individualistic Western societies, a movement of teenagers demanding digital sovereignty is growing. Legislative approaches also vary, from strict French laws protecting children's digital identity to almost complete lack of regulation in most developing countries. These differences remind us that in the global digital world, there are no universal solutions, and each culture seeks its own balance between family documentation and the protection of children's privacy. How to find the golden mean between the desire to share joyful moments of a child's life and protecting their digital privacy. There are practical recommendations that will help parents create ethical family content. First of all, ask for permission. Even small children are capable of expressing their opinion about publishing their photos. From the age of 3, you can start simple conversations. Can I show this photo to Grandma? Gradually expand explanations of what it means to post online. For teenagers, always show the content before publishing. Use privacy settings. Limit the audience of your publications to a close circle of friends and relatives. Regularly check account security settings. Social networks often change their privacy policy. Create family sharing rules. Which moments can be published and which remain part of personal memories. Avoid publishing potentially embarrassing content. Photos in the bathtub, on the potty, during a tantrum or illness may seem cute now, but embarrass the child in the future. Imagine, would you want similar moments from your childhood to be accessible to your colleagues or significant other? Never publish materials that could put a child in a vulnerable position or reveal confidential information. Avoid specifying exact locations, school addresses, or daily routines. Do not post photos in school uniforms with visible logos of educational institutions. Be careful with hashtags. They can make your publications accessible to a wide audience. Regularly review old publications and delete those that may not align with your current views on privacy. Remember that your current approach to sharenting may change as the child grows older. Consider alternative ways to store and share family memories. Closed cloud storage, password-protected photo albums, or special applications for family sharing with limited access. Such platforms allow you to share joyful moments without the risk of them becoming publicly available. Remember, the digital footprint you create today can accompany your child throughout their life. Every publication is a contribution to their future digital identity. Ask yourself a simple question before clicking the Publish button. Will my child be grateful for this post in 10 years? We stand on the threshold of a new era of digital parenting. Technologies will continue to evolve. Social platforms will transform, but the fundamental question will remain unchanged: how to maintain a balance between the joy of sharing and a child's right to privacy. The future will likely bring technological solutions that we are only beginning to imagine today. Applications with automatic child face blurring functions and age recognition systems that request teenagers' consent before publishing their images are already emerging. Artificial intelligence will soon be able to warn parents about potentially problematic content and suggest safer alternatives. Social norms are also transforming before our eyes. If 10 years ago, publishing every step of a child was considered normal, today, more and more parents are consciously limiting their children's digital footprint. A new ethics of digital parenting is emerging, based on respect for a child's autonomy from the earliest years. Legislation will inevitably adapt to these changes. We are already seeing the first signs of this in European countries, where norms are being developed to protect the digital rights of children. Perhaps in the future, children will gain the legal right to demand the removal of content published without their consent, even from their own parents. The key challenge of the future is to find a balance between family memories and digital privacy. Technology should help preserve precious moments without turning them into a public spectacle. Perhaps the solution will be closed family archives with limited access, replacing open social networks. Ultimately, the most important thing is dialogue. Conversations with children about digital boundaries, respect for their opinions, and a willingness to acknowledge that even the youngest have a voice in matters of their privacy. Digital parenting should be a conscious choice, not an automatic adherence to technological trends. Our children are the first generation to grow up under the lens of cameras from their first days of life. And our task is to ensure that this new reality becomes an opportunity for them, not a burden.